We're live. It's the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast, episode 132. It is the Wolves Sent the Nuggets Home edition of the podcast. Ethan you just got the Patagonia hat. Grant has returned from Florida after a nice vacation. Grant, how was the Sunshine State? We don't have a whole lot of time. We're going to try to keep this at 45 minutes here, but what was the most Florida man thing you saw while you were down there?
Went to the McDonald's drive-thru, get some food because I was hungry, and I just hear the lady talking to her employees as the window's open as I'm going to pay. Which one of y'all motherfuckers said we could give away free drinks today? We can't be doing that. This is a business. And then I'd say just having to go into the Walmart at, let's say, 9:30 or 10 to grab something, and then the amount of parents with small children who have their kids with them, it's like these kids should be in bed by now. I'm no parent. I don't know much about anything, but I know kids being up past 9 o'clock when they're 4 years old is not a good thing. So it's just a different life down there. Plenty of homeless people asking for change on the side of the street, golf carts in the road. If you're not driving 85, you're going slow. Just your basic stuff. But just how fast people could go from 0 to 100 down there, yelling at someone because they're giving away free drinks, to looking at me in the drive-thru and saying, "Hey, sweetheart, hey, love, what can I get you?" Just like it was nothing. And of course, some people who look, more tan than a piece of leather because, they're retired, they're old, and they have skin cancer, and they don't care.
Jeez.
So just your basic
aggressive
stuff. Well,
Okay.
at that point, when you've been in the sun that much and you've absorbed that much, there's no way you don't have skin cancer. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And you know
You're
what?
probably
Let's call a
right.
spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade, guys. These guys have more money than us, and they're living their good life retired. So they don't care. They don't care about my opinion.
No. Well, that's good. They're also old, so they really don't care about your opinion. They're gonna say what they
Absolutely.
think, and if it hurts your feelings, go cry about it.
Too bad.
Yeah. Too bad. And then you got back in time, in theory, and then you fell asleep. But not to fear, Ethan and I watched the Wolves come back from 20 behind and
It was
defeat
glorious.
the Nuggets, the defending NBA champions here.
Can I say this?
Incredible performance. When you wake up, when I say you can talk, okay? How's that work?
Yes,
Oh, that's
sleepy.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah. When you stay awake for a whole game, then you can have an opinion, okay? Let the big guns talk here, all right?
All right. I'm all ears.
Shut up.
You do kind of have big ears.
What?
You can't even see his
Oh, sorry. You didn't allow me to speak. I'm sorry.
That's right. But incredible performance. The big games that you needed from guys, you got them. You got it from Cat. You got it from Naz Reid. You got it from Jaden McDaniels. Anthony Edwards didn't have a great game, but he found ways to, and something that we talked about earlier on this podcast when they were playing the Suns, is when he wasn't at his best, he does a tremendous job of finding ways to impact the game. He didn't have the greatest offensive night, but defensively he came up with some huge steals. He was able to get guys open looks for three that they were able, guys like Jaden McDaniels who hit some huge threes that kept them in the game and helped propel that comeback. But just an absolute tremendous game, especially after the first two quarters. The Wolves really put on a masterclass of what not to do to end a quarter.
I just think this game really showcased the Wolves were just a better team. Ant sucked. For the first half, he was pretty awful. But give credit to the Nuggets. They double teamed him every time. He never got in the lane. He really couldn't do anything. I think he only had 5 shots or something like that. And most of them were fadeaways or off balance type runners. But everyone else stepped up. Mike Conley, big shots at the end. Cat was the only thing that really carried us in the first half. Him and Jaden, I think, were the only two guys that really scored more than 3 or 4 points in the first half. And then Gobert with the nice fadeaway. He's going to add that to his repertoire here soon. That was kind of the point where I was like, holy cow, they're going to win. Like, they're actually going to do this. When he turned around and like, there's just no way you can lose the game after Rudy hits a shot like that, probably the once in a lifetime type shot. And I think even Ant said at that point, like, he knew, he was like, I think when he made that, it was done. Like, and then you knew it was done when Ant hit that three in the corner to go up 10. That was like the final nail in the coffin, and Denver had nothing after that.
Well, and the other part too is they talked about it on the broadcast about how Gobert got fouled a handful of times, and they said that, if there's somebody on this T-Wolves team that you want to foul, it's Gobert, and Gobert hit all pretty. I think he ended at 9 of 11 from the free throw line or something like that. He only missed 2, and then down the stretch when he went to the line, he knocked all of them down. I think his 2 free throws he missed were from in the first half.
From where he is now to where we saw him versus Boston early in the year, where the only reason Boston was in that game is because Gobert couldn't hit a freaking free throw to save his life. It compares Shaq to like Kobe. That's the jump we've seen from him so far. And I think he's shooting over 70% from the line in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I mean, defensively, when he fouled out, it was, I didn't feel like there was really anything for the Wolves to get nervous about. They had a big enough lead, and the way Naz Reid came in and defended Jokic, and I mean it was a committee. It was a committee affair because I mean it was one of the first times or one of the few times that you actually saw Jokic where it was similar to what UConn did to Purdue in the national championship game where they wore him down.
There was just like 4 blocks, or actually 5 if you count Cats, in the second half that literally just said, like, I'm better than you. Jaden McDaniels on Aaron Gordon. Naz Reid had 2 of them on Jokic in the fourth quarter. And then I want to say Gobert just stuffed the living crap out of Jamal Murray on a drive too. Like, they could do nothing, and they were so exhausted. They had played their 5 starters. I think Jokic played the entire second half. Halfway through the fourth, he couldn't do anything. That's why we got – I think they said in the fourth quarter alone we had 10 points off second chance. So
Jokic only sat 1 minute.
Did he sat one?
He played
the
all
whole game.
He played 47 minutes. Yeah.
I think Ant had to be pretty damn close because I think he sat for about a minute of game time, just like at the end of the third, came back on with like 40 seconds left, and he never went off the court after that either.
I checked. Ant was 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he had a little rest to start the second quarter. And then I think with like 9.5 left, either we called a timeout or there's a substitute, and he came back in.
That sounds
in the second quarter. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Grant, since now that we're talking towards the end of the game and you were going to talk about sharing here, well, the floor is yours.
Well, I was going to say, I was kind of watching the game, and then, to Ethan's point, with our offensive struggles in the first half, I, kind of laid down and got comfortable, and then watched up to halftime. And then when we got down by 20, I'm not going to lie, I said, this game's over. I was like, there's no way we're coming back. So I got horizontal, and I kind of fell asleep and I took a nap. And, guys, I woke up, and it was just utter chaos. I see we're up by 5. Naz has the nasty put-back dunk, and then Conley gets a steal, and Ant hits the 3, and then all of a sudden the Wolves are up 10. And I'm just kind of confused, dazed. I don't know what day it is. I think I'm back in Minnesota. The Wolves are going to win this game, or they're not. There's still 3 minutes left. They're up by 10. I was like, holy smokes. I'm going to have to catch the end of this. It was just kind of incredible seeing that last, the last stretch there at the end.
Honestly, I never
Ethan,
really go ahead, go Dylan.
Grant talked about feeling this game was over. Where was your nervousness there? Where did you feel? Did you ever feel throughout the game, even when it got to 20, or it was the poor half ends by the in the first and second quarter by the T-Wolves?
Honestly,
where was your?
I never felt nervous. mostly because the only two guys that were doing anything on a consistent, able to knock down open shots were Jokic and Murray. And even Murray was very sporadic in when he would make his shots. On top of that, I'd rather Jokic go score. I'll give him all those 3-pointers all you want. What kills people is the assists. And he had 5, I think, up in the second quarter. He ended with 7. And I think the T-Wolves figured that out. Like, if you guard around him, like, let him shoot the threes, whatever. If he makes them, he makes them. But he was 0 for 8 at one point. So, like, they weren't falling, and he wasn't being able to get the assist because guys weren't hitting the open shots either.
Well, Ethan, to your point, let him have 35 points.
Yeah.
But don't let him get 9+ assists and let Gordon, Michael Porter Jr.
Get all these dunks and wide open
off.
threes. Like, that's how they win.
Exactly.
They don't win with Joker scoring 40. And just like the T-Wolves don't win with Ant scoring 40. It's the same thing. You have to get people involved.
Congratulations. Your 2 best scorers combined to score 69 points, giggity. But no one else, I think, on the team scored more than 8 for the Nuggets.
And even Murray disappeared after he got off to that hot start. And he had a good first half. And then after about 6 minutes, halfway through the third, he just kind of disappeared until
like he was done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I got to say, the one thing I was most disappointed with this Nuggets team about was after, was it KCP shot a 3 with about 20 seconds left. I think at this point, were we only up like 6 points? I can't remember the exact total.
I think it was up. They were up 8.
7.
They were up 8.
With 20 seconds
it
left.
would have cut it to 5. Yeah.
I know you still need a lot of work to be done, but we saw this year in March Madness, anything is possible. Like the Nuggets, they're not fouling. They're taking their time to get back. They're just kind of nonchalant, doing whatever. I think, was it McDaniel? He hit 1 or 2, and then they're just kind of slowly bringing the ball up court. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know there's maybe a 10% chance you guys can win, but where was the effort? Like, they just looked like they had accepted defeat. And with this league, you foul the guy with how fast you go down, you can hit a 3. You never know what happens. Maybe, put a little pressure on the Wolves. Maybe they kind of fall apart. They have a bad pass like the end of the first half in game 4? But they quit. And I couldn't believe that, how they just kind of laid down and died with, 23 seconds left. They accepted their fate. Like, come on, guys.
Honestly, they died before the third quarter was even over. Like, when the Wolves had that run to trim it down to single, it was done. Like, they were not coming back from that. And you could just tell, like, there was absolutely zero juice on their bench. They weren't playing defense. They weren't boxing out. There was just nothing there. As soon as the Wolves got back in the game, they literally just folded.
Because you give up 38 points.
You bring up a good point, Ethan, is like the offensive rebounding. Usually, like in this series, it felt like it was the Nuggets that were the more aggressive team on the boards. And then in this game, in Game 7, it felt like the roles were reversed, where you saw the Wolves getting a lot more offensive rebounds, getting a lot more 50-50 balls, and then they were able to turn them into points.
Yeah, it was the name of the game. The T-Wolves won the loose balls. They won the rebounds, and they just wanted it more, which is crazy considering you're the defending champs and that's how you go out. Like, absolutely zero effort, and you literally just collapse. Like, there's no other way to do it. Like, what did they call it on? What did JG call it on? God, it was the Rocky Mountain Revelation or something like that. Talking about the T-Wolves win last night. So I thought that was a pretty good analogy.
You kind of had like the Atlanta Falcon vibes in Super Bowl 51, where they just ran out of gas.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, and the better conditioned team won that game. Like, the Wolves looked like they could play a fifth quarter, and Denver looked like, they needed the oxygen. They looked like the team who was going into the altitude, not the team that plays at altitude all year.
Speaking of which, I'm glad you brought up the altitude thing, Grant. We also should have known that the Wolves were going to win this game from the start, because who was wearing the better uniforms? Like, it drives me nuts, NBA uniforms nowadays. Like, Knicks Pacers, incredible all-time uniforms, because they didn't try to deviate. They didn't try to go all crazy. The Nuggets, they have those god-awful 52-80 jerseys. And we should have known that after seeing that. And the Nuggets, probably have the worst jerseys in the NBA. I don't think I'm far off because they don't even really seem to have
No.
like a color base compared to like what other teams
What
in
does
the
the
NBA.
5280 even? Is that just the
Mile high. Mile high.
Okay,
Mile High
that's
City.
what I thought. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
5,280 feet in a mile, and
It's
you know
still
it's a
stupid
mile
as
high
hell.
city. It's like if you want to be,
It's
if
a
you wanna
good
do
concept. It's just
Have
wear
that
it
be-
within your color scheme.
have that be your alternate on a Thursday in January when you're playing Portland and nobody gives a shit.
Not
Right.
in Game 7.
Not in Game 7. Like the uniforms they wore last year when they clinched the title at home, the white ones that said Denver, that kind of looked like the old Denver Pioneers color schemes or font. I like those. Those are nice. But even their blue ones now that say Mile High City basketball on there, those are garbage. But Dylan, to your point, the Wolves are 6-0 in these uniforms in the playoffs, right? Or no? Well, we haven't lost wearing these. Not 6-0
No.
because didn't wear in Phoenix, but haven't lost wearing them. So, and when they needed to change the tide in the series, what did they do? They put these puppies back on.
That's right. And now they are 4 wins away from going to their first ever NBA Finals, which I guess that's a good transition to preview the Western Conference Finals here. Game 1 is going to be Wednesday, and in Minneapolis at the Target Center. I can about imagine how expensive the tickets are going to be.
Honestly, they're not as outrageous as I thought. I looked earlier today.
No.
Upper Deck was $256. Not saying that's cheap. I mean, but at the end of the day, that could be a hell of a lot worse.
I was thinking, Ethan,
let's
at
put it
least
this way:
400 to get
if
in.
I
That's
was-
what I was thinking.
If I was in town, would we spend the $256 to go to the game?
Hannah said I could, so I would. Yes.
Okay, there it is.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let's see what they're at currently. See if they went up at all.
But
They're
anyways, the
239.
230. Oh, it even went down. And actually,
down.
what they'll do is they'll get cheaper as you get closer to game time.
More than
I've
likely.
learned. So the Western Conference Finals, I think, during the season, the Wolves won the season series 3-1, but that was all before they traded for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. I think a big key here, and I don't want to make this a big storyline, but when Luka Doncic is playing on the other side, it's gonna be a storyline. Is how this series is officiated, because for the most part in this Denver-Minnesota series, it felt like the refs kind of let him play a little bit more than what we were used to, especially. Well, and it was more of a playoff series. There are a couple of like the ticky-tack ones, but for the most part, they let him play. How will they react to Luka complaining and whining the whole time? And I think that's a big key. The other part is what type of what Kyrie Irving are you going to get? Because you see him in previous playoff series the last couple of years where he really gets worn down as those series go on. And this year these first 2 series that he's played in, he hasn't played great. He had a good game 6 to close out the Thunder. But I think if the Nuggets or the Mavs really want a shot in this series, I think you're going to have to see the 2016 Kyrie Irving when he was playing with LeBron and the Cavs and they won the finals. And I think the other thing too is the Mavs cannot be super dependent on Luka and Kyrie to score and be their only main cogs of offense, because they're at their best when both of them are facilitating and getting others involved. And we're going to see how healthy Luka's knee is, because it still looks like it's bothering him some. I think the way the Wolves play, I think that also favors him, because they're a very physical team and they're going to get after him and guard you the whole length of the court. And I think if you're able to get physical with him and get in his head, you have to like the Wolves' chances to advance in this.
I do like the Wolves' chances to advance. I think the biggest thing is how are the Wolves going to react to being favorites? They've been underdogs to start of
Oh,
both series, Phoenix and Denver. Now it's very clear we are the favorite, and honestly, you could argue we're the favorite to win the whole title at this point. But how do they go with those expectations? How does Ant respond? How does Cat respond? They seem in a very good headspace, very confident. They're not like overconfident, as you could tell from Game 6 and 7. They were locked in, especially Cat. Cat was phenomenal. But yeah, like how's Jaden McDaniels going to be officiated? Can he be rough with Luka? Because he's going to guard him. You don't want Cat out there on the perimeter. You're going to want Jaden. And then Nas probably going to be on him a little bit too. Those are the two guys that are most likely going to be on him at all times. But yeah, like you said, Dylan, it's going to come down to if he gets to the free throw line a lot, yeah, that's going to hurt. And you have two of the best shot makers of all time in NBA history in the same backcourt. So if they can hit shots that they are very capable of doing, it makes it a lot harder. You do have to defend them a hell of a lot different than you do Denver.
Well, yeah, that's 100% right. I'm just curious, Ethan, and guys, does Dallas have anyone who can truly match our length? Like if we get Cat going, if Naz gets going inside, and we just keep attacking the offensive glass, can they keep up?
They have the old Duke guy down low.
But even then, like if PJ Washington gets in foul trouble.
Yeah, they don't have they lost the guy too for the playoffs, didn't they, in the first round?
They did,
sure
yeah.
Guys.
What is Kyrie 6'2"?
I think that's probably generous.
Luke 6'1". Luka's what 6'6", 6'8".
Luka's like 6'10".
Oh God, that's right. I forgot how big he is. But even then, with how tall?
No, Luka's only 6'7".
Oh really? I thought he was taller.
Okay, so he's only 6'7".
He's only 6'7" according to
Jaden has
ESPN
2 inches in the length on him.
And the length on him and his pure athletic ability. I really do just wonder if Dallas physically can match up with the Wolves here, with that length and how well, they've been playing on defense, right now. That'll be an interesting part, but also, Ethan, like you said, how they react to being the favorites. Like, and with how well the Wolves defense has been, these last 7 games, are they going to be a little too aggressive and get in foul trouble? And then in return, do they kind of back off Dallas, and Dallas can score? It'll be an interesting cat and mouse game, with this. But I mean, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how Minneapolis is going to be, Wednesday and Friday, and I'm kind of hoping this can continue in this aspect where now people can really get behind the Wolves. The people of Minnesota can, feel like, hey, they got a team that we can root for and we can get behind, and this is fun to see. The weather's turning around. Looks like summer's going to be here. People are feeling good. The vibes are immaculate. And now we got a sports team we can watch with a little skin in the game. It's fun.
They're not watching the Twins.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. But predictions, fellas. Who wins? Who's going to the NBA Finals?
Well, if they didn't play with their head up there, for 2 games, they would have won it in 5. But Wolves in 5. I'm taking them.
Wolves in 5. All right.
I'm going to go Wolves in 6. I respect Luka and Kyrie too much.
Ooh, winning on the road to clinch.
Yeah, I'm going to say win on the road.
Both on the road. That makes sense.
I'm going to say win on the road to clinch. I think they'll be up 3-1 after 4, but I think their youth is going to show. A little inexperience, come home, close out in Game 5, but they finish it off in Dallas.
I think I'm going to say Wolves in 6 as well. I wouldn't be shocked. I think just because of how emotional, how draining the series against the Nuggets was, I wouldn't be shocked if the Wolves come out a little bit flat, and I think Dallas jumps on them early. And I wouldn't be shocked if they steal Game 1 or it takes the Wolves to find their footing for a little bit. But in the end, I think I think this is what made the difference in the previous series too, is Anthony Edwards is going to impact the game on both sides of the court. Luka has been a lot better defensively this year and improved a lot on that side of the ball, but I don't think he's consistent enough where every night what you're getting out of Anthony Edwards. And that was the difference too, because even you and I talked about it when we were talking on the phone on Saturday night about how we're going with we go with Anthony or if we're discussing who's the better player, Anthony Edwards or Jokic, and we both said Anthony Edwards because Anthony Edwards is going to impact the game on the defensive side of the ball, something that Jokic is not going to do. And I think that's going to be enough. And the Wolves are going to their first ever NBA Finals.
All right, Sharpie.
So, yep, Sharpie it. So, and then let's go to the Eastern Conference Finals preview and Celtics Pacers. That starts tomorrow night, and I think the Pacers have the ability to extend this series to 5 or 6, but I just don't see a way that the Celtics lose this series. I think they're just too well-rounded compared to Indiana. I think they can only win a certain way if they're hitting a lot of shots and running up and down the court. I think Boston is good enough to limit that. And I think the Pacers, I think what we'll see is this series tied 2-2 at 4 games. But in the end, I think the Celtics will win the next 2 and go to win it in 6.
I think if Porzingis is out longer than the first 2 games or whatever it is, if he's out for an extended period still, I think there's a very real chance Indiana actually pulls the upset. I just don't think Boston has enough firepower to go with them. Indiana's just explosive offensively. But I agree with you. I'm going to say Celtics. I think it's going to go long. And Tatum's great. Brown's great. What else do they have around them? Do they have enough around them to score? Yes, they shoot it well some nights, but then there's some nights they really struggle, and it's Tatum and Brown carrying the torch for them. But Indiana's balanced. They don't play a whole lot of defense, so it's going to be a shit ton of points in this series. But I think Celtics in 7 is probably the most realistic.
Well, yeah, it's the 2 best offenses in the NBA going up in this series. And I think even with Porzingis, that's the question mark in this whole series, because if he's not healthy, Miles Turner should be able to just absolutely feast. And if he can get 20 plus with Siakam, Tyrese, and just Indiana's bench in general, yeah, the Pacers can make this. They can make this a series and make things interesting. But I don't think they're going to be able to get enough stops. Like we said, they shot 67% from the field on Sunday, scored 130 points, but they still gave up 109 points to the Knicks. And that was to a Knicks team who was banged up, bruised, battered, and was just tired like Denver. So I'm with Dylan. I think Celtics in 6. And I think both of these conference finals are closed out on the road this year.
Okay. And we got Wolves, Celtics in the NBA Finals, so it'll probably be Pacers, Mavs. But mirror positivity here. It doesn't matter who's coming out of the East. The Wolves are taking them. They don't care who they play. So,
and it is nice that we're going to have one superstar from whatever team get his first title. This year. So that is cool. I know Kyrie got that one in Cleveland, but I'm talking Luka. If one of these teams, they're going to have a marquee player win his first title, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very true. Didn't think about that, but fellas, the NFL released their schedule on Thursday, Wednesday last week. Doesn't matter the exact date, but to wrap up the show here before we get to curveball of the week, each of us are going to pick our top 3 games that we have circled for the NFL season here. So, Grant, game 1? What is your top game so far that you have scheduled or circled?
So far, I'm going to start in week 1, actually, guys, and I'm going out of the country. How about Eagles Packers from Brazil? Week 1.
Gross.
If you listen to the media, the Eagles won the offseason. They should win the NFC again. And the Packers, coming in hot towards the end of the year. If they had a place kicker there in the NFC title game last year, both these teams starting out against each other. I'm intrigued for that. And also, how do these teams handle going out of the country week one? I really don't trust Matt LaFleur and Nick Sirianni as good leaders. So something is going to go pear-shaped for one of these teams. Just the fact that it's on a Friday, week one, I'm intrigued for this. So the first one there, I'll go Packers Eagles week one.
Well, what Nick Sirianni lacks in leadership is made up for by his offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, by one of the best offensive coordinators in football. Yet he's on his third team in 3 years. So,
hey, he knows how to score points in the regular season, though.
It's fair.
Yeah, but against like 1-5 teams, not against good teams. I can't remember. I couldn't tell you. Actually, you probably could remember the amount of times I've been yelling. You've heard me yelling at my TV because Kellen Moore cannot find a way to get the offense into the end zone in big games. But Ethan, what's your top game of your first game you have?
I'm going week 1 too. Actually, I'm staying domestic though. We're going a rematch of the playoffs last year. Rams at Lions. Matt Stafford,
that's a good choice.
Might crack it in the playoffs coming back home. But who the heck knows? Aaron Donald-less team. We'll see what they look like defensively. It should be fun because they're going to be explosive on offense. They'll be fine with Williams, Cooper Kupp, the rookie last year. So yeah, it'll be probably a pretty big shootout.
Okay, mine is gonna go. We're going to week 4 here. The Chargers versus the Chiefs. Harbaugh's first game versus Mahomes. How much has he improved that roster? The way this schedule sets up for the Chargers, it sets up very nicely for them. I expect them to be 3-0 or 2-1 at the worst. Curious to see how Jesse Minter is going to attack Pat Mahomes. See if the physicality that Harbaugh brings, if it's able to rub off on that Chargers roster. And hopefully the start of a long-time battle we'll finally get to hopefully be able to see the full potential of Justin Herbert versus Pat Mahomes.
So back to me here for my second game. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go week 8, and Dylan, this is, I don't know if it's your team or your former team or the situationship you're in, but Dallas versus San Francisco. We all know what San Francisco is. More than likely they'll have a couple soft tissue injuries by this point. They'll lose a game they shouldn't be, and they'll be 4-4. They'll be 5-3, but they'll be the best 4-4 team in the league. Dallas is going to be 6-2. They'll be riding high because they beat the shit out of nobodies, but they lose to the 2 big teams they play. Can Dallas finally match up to one of the big boys? I believe it's on Sunday night.
Sunday night.
It's in Santa Clara again. Can Dallas finally raise up to the opportunity of the opponent they're playing?
Hopefully it's not a repeat of last year's Sunday night debacle.
Exactly. And not make it 4 years in a row losing to San Francisco. Also, you just look at the star power. Maybe not so much star power, but the ratings galore that will be this game with these 2 fan bases on Sunday night. Who doesn't want to end a Sunday in late October watching this game?
We're going.
Right.
We're going to week 16. Texans at Chiefs. Massive implications possibly for the number 1 seed. And on top of that, Houston plays 4 days later versus Baltimore. So massive stretch for them. Their schedule's brutal, but these 3 weeks are pretty tough. Versus Miami, at KC versus Baltimore. That's rough.
Yeah, those 3 games in 11 days. I don't want to do that.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Oh.
So me, I'm going to week 9 on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to go Jets versus Texans. Aaron Rodgers coming off his Achilles injury. I think it's going to take some time to adjust and kind of get some continuity, get that offense to gel. I think, about 2 months into the season, I think you're going to see that offense finally start to come together as long as the O-line holds up. Facing C.J. Stroud, one of the bright up-and-comers in the NFL, his first time playing Aaron, and potentially I think we're all high on the Texans and expect them to be in the playoffs and win the South. But we also were high on the Jaguars last year, and we saw how that ended up. There's got to be a lot of things. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Things got to break right. Hopefully the injury bug doesn't catch the Texans, and same with the Jets. But potentially, if I think that the Jets, I would probably put second or third right now in the AFC East. Potentially, you could see a preview for the first round of the playoffs in these two teams.
I agree. And my last game, I'm going, guys, to Week 18, a potential Sunday night game, last game of the regular season. And this game here for me is going to be for maybe the last wild card spot in the NFC. Seahawks, Rams.
Ooh.
A good NFC West matchup. I expect San Francisco to have that division locked up, but then I think these two teams might be playing in SoFi for a spot in the playoffs. A division team. Seattle's got a new coaching staff, but a lot of the same players. Is Mike McDonald, just like Jim Harbaugh, going to bring that toughness and a different mentality to Seattle? And then by then, we're going to know if this Rams defensive coaching staff is as good as we think it was last year. Full season without Aaron Donald. A lot of these good young rookies who we're high on, some good second-year players from last year. What does this Rams defense look like? And like I said, I think a potential Sunday night game to see if one of these teams can even get into the playoffs.
All
Well,
right.
last one. We're staying close to home, and we're going to December, Week 14. We're going with the very much anticipated return of Kirk Cousins to Minnesota. I don't know how he's going to be welcomed. Is he going to be booed? I think it's going to be very iffy.
I think it'll be 50-50.
I think it will. I think it's going to be very, very iffy.
I think when he comes out for warm-ups, I think he'll get a warm welcome. But then when he first comes out onto the field and it's go time and the game's going to be settling between the lines, I think I don't want to compare him to Tom Brady, but I would say it'd be very similar to what it was like when Brady returned to Foxborough for the first time, where he ran out for warm-ups, got greeted with cheers and applause, and then when the game started and he ran out on the field to play for the first time, he got booed.
Yeah, very polarizing return for sure.
Question: does he get a video?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ethan. I don't think he gets a tribute video.
Nope.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
No. I think if he stayed through another contract, he probably would, and left for like a year or so.
I think if he comes back, it's very obvious he's going to retire, then I think he might get a video, but not this year.
Yeah. And then also, just the one playoff win. Had the Vikings maybe, I'm not even saying made a Super Bowl, but at least been to like maybe 2 conference title games and win 3 division titles
2 years ago.
Correct. If there would have been more success than just the one playoff win, I think he would have gotten a video, but not now, not enough.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, then my final game is I'm going to Week 17, and it is the final Monday night game of the year. Lions at 49ers, a rematch of the NFC Championship game, potentially a preview of the NFC Championship game of this year. We're going to see the Lions going back to the scene of the crime. and looking to expunge their to exercise some of the demons, or try to anyway. But I think this is a game that, yeah, potentially could have the winner takes the 1 seed. If you remember last year, last year's last Monday night game between Ravens 49ers, the Ravens blew the 49ers out of their own building. Is that something that we could potentially see here? But Lions 49ers is my final number 3 game of the year. So, fellas, then let's go to curveball of the week here. I have this one. So, we all have jobs outside of doing this here. So, when you guys go into your line of work when you're not at your place of work, for me, working at Pepsi, spend a lot of time in gas stations and grocery stores. What is something, Grant, you work at Hy-Vee in the meat department, Ethan, running HR and Target down in the cities. What, when you guys go into a store that isn't yours, is there something that you guys look for? Or is there something that, like, you guys look at that the normal person wouldn't look at or think about?
Easy. All the kids wearing AirPods.
Yeah,
it is my biggest pet peeve.
I was going to say that has to be Ethan's that or name tags.
It just drives you try calling these kids on the radio, and they can't even hear the damn thing because they just got their music, and like, heck, I found people talking on their phone with their AirPods in, like on the sales floor. So easily my biggest pet peeve. That, or how many people wear sweatpants, because that's another one of my biggest pet peeves is when they wear just like straight up, not jeans, not khakis, sweatpants or basketball shorts. It's just like, go home.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or if someone's wearing, probably without a name tag for Ethan, probably.
No, I'm not as big on that one.
Oh, okay.
I don't care about that one, but my store director, yeah, he sure cares about that one.
Yeah,
but he doesn't care about the sweatpants. Makes no sense.
I think sometimes just for me, guys, it's just something simple as is like, like your self-serve, meat department, like a Target. I know they don't have a service case, but you have like a multi-deck section. When that's not faced up and not pulled forward, and it looks like an absolute garage sale that went by there, and some customers can come by and they're going to take a quick look and they think, oh, there might not be anything there. But then if you peek your head and you look back and there's something all the way to the back and it's not faced forward, like, it's amazing what a simple face does and how it can clean a whole department up, and it changes how people view you. I'm sitting back, like, if I walk back and I see something and it looks like an absolute garage sale, I might not want to go back to that place ever again, because I think the people here don't care. They don't want to make it easy for the consumer to come to the shelf and grab something. And it's just laziness. And then also when there's not, price tags underneath said product. How is your consumer going to buy anything if they can't see what the price is? It might look good, but is this thing $4.99 or is it $13.99? So, and also sometimes when the price doesn't match the thing, or if it's the wrong product, or you forget to update a paper sign, just little stuff like that nobody should care about, but it drives me insane.
Yeah, no, price points is something that I look at. Or making sure like all the product is faced forward. And then other things are like shelf strips, like if they have like shelf strips of certain things of where it's supposed to go. When I'm in a gas station, looking at like how old the glides are, as far as like if they're busted or they're like, there's some that you'll go into and they are like ancient ones that my dad was putting in when he was in my position. Things like that, or just looking at all the different, going to like a grocery store in like the cities or somewhere bigger, and just looking at the different products you guys have compared to what we don't have, things like that.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
So that wraps up episode 132 of the Three Guys Talking About podcast. With Memorial Day, we'll probably have go live next Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. The Wolves don't play Wednesday, so it works out perfectly for that. You guys got any Memorial Day plans?
No, just working and grilling for the team, and then probably going back to our new place and unpacking more.
Oh yeah, exciting! You are a vet, so whenever if I ever decide to move, I should just give you a call.
Absolutely not. I'm good. You know what? You know who is a trooper? The other guy on this call, Grant. I think he's helped me 4 or 5 years in a row. So says he's doing it again Friday.
What a guy!
So yeah,
no,
Grant's a
I'm
true rider.
even
I'm the
towards
guy.
1 year doing it.
Yeah, the first.
He's bigger than both of us too, so you can really work him like a mule.
Yeah, the first part
Give
of
me a
the
whip
meniscus tear happened moving Ethan's couch.
True statement.
The first part, but it's not his fault. The thing was going to go out eventually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just went below 90 degrees a little too fast, and there's a slight tear there. But what can I say? I'm a man of the people. People need moving. I know I'm a big, strong guy.
Good thing we're in sectional now.
And I like doing it. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. So, all right. Well, then, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. We'll talk to you next week.